Um, the question is what happens at WordCamp, and it's a hard question to quantify in a short amount of time. Lisa gave a whole presentation on it a week and a half ago. Um, the shortest version I can say is learning. You're going to learn a lot, and that doesn't mean whether it's you're a user or you're a developer, you're a designer, you're some mix of all three. Jeff's doing tricks over there. um, WordCamp for me last year. Last year Orlando was my first WordCamp. I've actually only been to two. Tampa this last weekend at Tampa being the other one. But WordCamp Orlando for me last year is literally why I'm here. I'd been given this task at HighForge to become the new WordPress guy, and it was something that I was not really sure what that meant because I'd worked with WordPress. I'd actually been a user for a long time, and so I knew what WordPress was. I didn't realize the whole dichotomy of .com and .org at the time. So once I was starting, a lot of my development skills kind of were brought up on WordPress. But it was going to WordCamp where I realized there's this whole different level of where you can take things and just how segmented the WordPress community can be in a good way, in the sense of like there's so like you don't have to learn everything to be a really awesome WordPress developer. There are so many different, like, for lack of a word, product silos that you can focus on. You can just focus on plugins. You can just focus on themes. You can focus on just just parts of plugins, really, or a specific segment of plugins, like what Pippin does with Easy Digital Downloads. His talk on plugin development just kind of blew my mind, and then I turned into this I hate plugins guy. That's a whole different story. Um, but it's one of those things that it will jumpstart your career if you're willing to let it. Um, Chris Lemma gave a great talk. His keynote at Tampa was WordPress can change your life if you let it, and it really is that. It really is the truth, because you will learn all of these things and you'll become so motivated, but it means nothing if you just go, oh, okay, that was awesome, and then you never do anything with it. You have to come out of a situation like this, because really it's a world class conference that's local, and it's cheap by comparison. There's a very big event coming to Orlando, and it's a really big deal called an Event Apart. I don't know if any of you have heard of it. The speaker list is insane. I mean, we're talking about literally the giants of our industry, including the guy that invented, for lack of a better word, responsive design, is going to be speaking at this conference. The tickets are, I think, $1,700 for one day. Ours are going to be like 35, $40. So you think about, and those really, you're going to see somebody up on a stage talking. It's actually not unlike what we're doing right now, but WordCamp is oftentimes very interactive. And there are going to be plenty of sessions where we are going to have everybody pull out your laptops. Let's show you how to do this. You don't get that anywhere else. So I can't highlight that enough, and I'll let these guys get on the soapbox next.
I'll give you a condensed version of my talk from last week. WordCamp, it's a 2-day event. The tickets, like we said, usually are $40, but we're working on reducing that cost because we have so many amazing sponsors. So tickets will be cheap. For that amount of money, you get 2 days worth of content workshops, Q&As, panels, lightning talks, you name it. There's every single different aspect of information you can imagine, whether it's workshops about the content on your website, how to do SEO, how to start a food blog, how to write a plugin, how to debug a plugin, how to choose the right theme, things like that. It's for all different levels, from beginner to expert, if you want to call yourself that. Everyone learns something there. It's a great networking opportunity. In between sessions, you have enough time to mingle. During registration, there's time. There's an after party after the first day. The first day is a Friday, so Friday night we're going to probably be at a local eatery where we get to grab some dinner. There will be free drinks, and you all can just mingle with each other, make some new friends, make some new contacts. There will be job boards where you can post looking to hire, or hey, these are my skills. I'm looking for freelance work. Hire me. Um, Lunch is catered both days by the Rosen College. That's included in your cost. You get amazing swag, t-shirts, bags, whatever else we can get thrown in there. There will be probably some giveaways at the end. You get to meet sponsors, both local and national, that have to do with WordPress. People like MailChimp and who else do we have? Um, Russ is in the back. Yeah, he knows our sponsors. We have plenty of sponsors from everything, whether they're video production, theme companies, hosting companies, you name it. They'll be there to talk to you about their products. You can pick up more swag at their tables. I mean, literally, you will leave with like a bag of really cool junk. Um, and then the second day, we have a networking brunch where you'll be able to nibble on pastries and sip mimosas and talk to all the people that you met on Friday and get all your business cards from them and whatnot. And then more talks. We'll have a great keynote speaker. You'll get to learn from some of the best people in the Florida area. So it's definitely worth coming out to.
Yes, and not just people in the Florida area. We actually have speakers travel from all over the world to give presentations at WordCamp Orlando. Literally, we will have people coming from on the other side of the world to come to give you all to give you guys information. I'm sorry. It's being held at the Rosen College, the Rosen College of Hospitality Management. That's on iDrive. If anyone wants to go find the website, it is 2014 .orlando.wordcamp.org. I know it's long, but hopefully it's easy to remember. It's this year, this city, WordCamp. Did I say .com? .org.
Especially when tickets go live. We should be announcing speakers within the next week or so.
We have so many awesome speakers to choose from. We have to cut down that list tremendously. So the event is not just for all the cool swag. It's super awesome that we make sure we feed you guys all day while you're there. We give you all sorts of fun stuff. We clothe you. We give you a new home. We give you a new car. No, sorry, some point. It's not just about this stuff. To clarify though, we are probably looking to get tickets for about $30 this year, and I mean, our budget is going to be open, posted online, so you guys can see what it's costing. It's probably going to cost about $100 a person put on the event. So we'll have lots of amazing sponsors that make all that possible for us. That means the hosting companies that you use: WP Engine, SiteGround, Bluehost, DreamHost. I don't want to name ones that I don't know if they're sponsored yet or not. Giving out free accounts, things like that. But most important for me is all of the awesome connections that you can make there. If you are into e-commerce, or if you want to start a WordPress store, how about you go talk to the guy who literally built those e-commerce tools, who will be there, and he's come to our meetup before to give talks too. If you want to start a blogging company, how about you talk to one of our speakers who literally has $1 million blogs he's running on WordPress. We're going to have some of the core developers from WordPress, so the software that you use, if you use it as much as me, like every day, the people who wrote all the code that makes that software will be there to talk, answer your questions. All right, and yes, there is a help desk. It's called the Happiness Bar. What that is all day, every day, we're going to have people who are probably not me. I'm going to be running around. People like us, and people like you, if you have any interest in volunteering. We have volunteer information on the website as well. People who know WordPress who will be there all day to give you free work. And I literally mean the same people that I just mentioned there. They will be sitting down in that room giving you the stuff that they charge hundreds and hundreds of dollars an hour for, one-on-one. So you can sit down with somebody and go, well, I need to set up this thing on my store, and they can walk you through it. And I'm quite honest when I say they charge hundreds of dollars an hour normally for that. You can get a lot done there. Any other, here's why WordCamp's awesome, besides everything?
I mean, I don't want to talk too much about it, but I mean, work camps have like changed my life personally. I was a year ago. I've been in the industry a long time, but a year ago I was working by myself. I couldn't reach past a certain income level, and just being on the business panel and then talking to some of the core devs at lunch and like, you're crazy. What are you doing? You're as good as us. Why aren't you charging more? I mean, just hearing it from those experts have like really changed my life, and that's all just from a couple word camps. And I had the skill set, but I was in my own way. start being around other people, just the conversations in the hallways. I mean, I've gained 15 pounds of awesome, so it's but my bank account's not hurting anymore just from interacting with people. So it's definitely worth the experience.
Yeah, I know people who've gotten jobs from the event. We have job boards in person, so I've hired clients at events because I'll put a thing up and somebody will be like, oh, I want to work with you, and they can just actually go find me in person. That's pretty nice. You said at Jesse's talk, right? Yeah, last weekend at Tampa, another friend of ours from Tampa, Sarasota, Tampa-ish area. He mentioned that he went and talked with some other developers a few months ago, and they looked at what he was doing, and they said you need to quadruple your rates. And he went on his website, changed the rates he was charging for dev, and he's like, I'm still getting as many leads as I got before a few months ago, but I'm getting paid 4 times as much now for it. It's a very useful event. I can wax poetic on it for hours, but what other questions do we have? We very much hope to stream it. As I mentioned, we have a lot more money from sponsors this year, which is really awesome. So I want to put some of that extra money into professional streaming. Actually, no, I think we have a streaming company to handle the streaming part, but we're gonna have them all recorded. Yeah, we're gonna try streaming. Yes, try to come in person. It's much better in person. You get everything, and oh yes,
Actually,
5 years. Yeah.
someone that I know can speak to the streaming experience.
You don't want.
No. Okay, never mind. No. Anyway.
The reason I bring that up is because the problem with live streaming is we are entirely. Oh yeah, sorry. The problem with live streaming is we're entirely at the mercy of the technology available at the venue. We can bring in all the awesome cameras and all the equipment, but if we don't have Wi-Fi, we're screwed. And that's what happened at Tampa. That's why if you did watch the screen, and that's what Jeff didn't have the greatest experience, is the Wi-Fi, especially on the first day, kept dropping out. So like all of a sudden, like you'd have video but you wouldn't have sound, or you'd have sound but you wouldn't have video, and it was kind of a mess. So it's a work in progress, and we're gonna try to take the lessons they learned. But we also know last year the Wi-Fi was a nightmare at that venue. So it's a question of is it going to fit in the budget to find someone that can bring in like a kind of an ad hoc Wi-Fi setup or even a hard line, because ideally you really want a hard line for live streaming. So
If anyone knows anybody who works for companies like these, please come talk to us.
specifically Russ in the back there.
Oh yeah, talk to Russ too.
So Russ would definitely be the person to talk to about that.
Actually, Russ, wave your hand again behind everything. Everybody, please give Russ an amazing round of applause. Thanks to Russ's efforts this year, we have raised almost our entire budget through sponsors. That's why we're going to be able to drop ticket prices a fair amount, give more tickets away to students, things like that, and plus be able to do much more awesome stuff. Thank you, Russ.
More questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be eventually.
All the sponsors that have already been approved, they're already on the website. Yeah. We can take more WordCamp questions, but we're also doing any kind of questions too. I'm sorry, any questions, not just. Yeah. Oh, you kill me. You kill me. No. You know what? Fine. Here, I'm gonna throw down my ultimatum. WordCamp tickets are going to go on sale. No, the 20th, Monday, October 20th. Yes. Well, if I do it the 21st, then I'm going to San Francisco. I don't want to. What if they break? Yeah. I'm gonna be traveling for all of us to San Francisco for WordCamp. I'll tell y'all how awesome it is.
So you're saying I have to have the speakers decided by then, right?
Well, that too, but not all of them. I just want to. So there you go. There is my proclamation on film.
But the goal is, because we have the list now, it's just segmenting the list, because we've got some really great talks and we've got some really great speakers, but they've submitted multiple talks. So case in point, Zach Gordon from Treehouse, who was actually a huge influence on me because of a lot of what I learned through Treehouse, he submitted like 4 talks. So now I've just got to go. I was like, I really want Zach to be there because I know how much you guys can learn from him. Plus, he is local, so that's also a bonus. But we don't want to have him in like 3 different slots. He's going to give 1 talk, so it's picking the right one. So if there are any specific talks that you guys want to see or like, oh, I really want to hear about this topic, post it on the Facebook page, on the meetup page, something. Send me an email, send me something on Twitter. I want your guys' input because ultimately this conference is for you guys. We're putting it all together, but it's for everybody else. So if there's specific stuff you guys want to see, let me know, and I'll do what I can. And maybe if there's a topic that's not covered, we can reach out to someone and say, hey, like, perfect example is we knew we didn't have anything about like the way plugins, the business side of plugins. So we reached out to Andrew Norcross, who, if you were here a few months ago, gave a really great talk on the business of plugins. He organized WordCamp Tampa, so Dave and I cornered him at Tampa and said, "You're giving a talk at Orlando, and you're going to submit tomorrow." And he's like, "Okay." So we'll get stuff. We'll definitely get the stuff you guys want to see.
Speaking of Facebook, as much as we spoke about it earlier, we actually use Facebook here. If anyone is not part of our Facebook group, it is facebook.com/WordPressOrlando. No hyphen, no nothing fancy. We have 250-ish members or so right now, but an awesome thing is if you post a question to the group, and it's a question that's written in English, please, I've had some weird, like I can't figure out what someone's trying to say. Use your words, people. But if you submit questions to the group or suggestions or things that you like or don't like, you'll probably get like 5 responses in 5 minutes. So it's a great place 24/7, not just in here. Additionally, for any of the videos that we've been doing for the past few months, thank you very much, Diana, for all of your hard work. Yeah. All the videos go up to youtube.com/WordPressOrlando. I have a good recent local example. I set up a website for Gotta Get Blogging. If anyone knows Bess Hour from Florida Blog Conference. Yeah, she yeah, whatever. No, I'll say I did not design the website, so please don't hold that against me. I think it looks okay. But it's a membership site that was built on easy digital downloads. This is a gentleman we were talking about earlier, Pippin's Plugins. It's a thing literally to sell downloads. If you're talking about ebooks, images, video, things like that you can download from the web. But another thing that it's really good at is, a membership is something that you're buying, but it's not a tangible thing. So that tool works really well for it. It has content restriction built into it. So if you say that I have 3 different membership levels, I think she only has 2 on her site right now, and then you can say this post right here. When you're actually editing the post, I should clarify, there'll be a new little box in the corner that you can say, this post here can only be seen by people who have purchased this product or who have this membership level or something. There are plenty of other good ones out there, but that's my recent example, and if anyone else wants to.
We do a lot of BuddyPress work. So we'll run communities based off BuddyPress and put a payment gateway in front. So they have, in order to sign up and complete registration, they have to either pay a monthly membership. There's a couple on. I don't recommend WordPress MU Devs plugins because they're kind of hit or miss, or they're 75% great and 25% horrible. But they have a membership plugin on their site that I've used a couple times. I've actually written custom gateways built into them. But I would look into some. It depends on what you're doing. If you're not looking to sell memberships, you're just looking to have a membership. BuddyPress is a great solution. But don't turn everything on. Like, don't use everything in BuddyPress. It's overkill. Even the creators of BuddyPress says it's overkill. So pick your features wisely and let your community guide your features if you have a community. Any other questions? The question is there any wikis or recommend any wikis for WordPress or used any wikis? Personally, I've used like an open source wiki before WordPress. It worked well. The wiki I've used recently is Docs, which is probably an add-on for BuddyPress, so I don't know if there's a standalone version of that, but BuddyPress uses something called Docs, which is their version of wiki, and that seems to work fine in that environment. But do you guys have another wiki?
WordPress is not the most well known for being a wiki platform, so there's no one like when we say, we want to put forms on your website, all of us, unless someone here is weirdo, would probably say Gravity Forms. There's no one tool that I say, this is the one that you should use for wikis for WordPress. That absolutely is one thing that could happen. So the reasons that I would consider WordPress is if it's going to tie into something else you're doing where you don't want to have people have to duplicate memberships. So let's say you have a store and you want them to log in to buy stuff and you also want to have the wiki available. Now, it depends on, I don't know if you're going to be using all the features that exist within a wiki. So a few other examples of not really a wiki, but part of the way there. There's plugins for Q&A forms, so you can actually have a whole knowledge base on your website of questions and answers. The downside there is that that's not user-submitted data, that's you putting that data in. There's P2, which is a WordPress theme. It's actually the theme if you go to any of the make.wordpress.org sites. That's exactly what they're using. It's a way for people to easily enter information on the front end, new posts and blogs. But that one is basically an entire site thing. You have to be running that whole theme on your site. So the solution that Russ is giving is called Wiki Easy from WooThemes. WooThemes.
If you're looking for more advanced search options, like you can make any site look like a wiki with a little bit of design work. But I would say like Search WP, which is a plugin, which is an add-on plugin that costs money. That's going to give you more advanced search options. And then there's something called faceted search, which if you go to the bottom of Search WP's site, there's going to be another link to another site, another plugin that's going to cost you more money, but it's going to give you the ability to do filter drop downs based off taxonomies. So if you really want to do like an advanced drill down search, you can add that on with two plugins under $100, but give you the ability to do a really detailed, granular search on anything on your site. Yeah, searchwp.com, I believe, or WP Search. I don't remember, but it's the main search plugin for WordPress that everybody buys if you're going to buy an advanced search plugin. And then at the very bottom of that page, it says faceted search, which is an add-on, which is a free add-on, but the faceted search you would have to buy from the other company. But it's cheaper than any one of our time for 1 hour than it would take to buy both those plugins, so it's definitely worth it. So I can help you after to give you the exact links. I don't remember the exact links, but they would give you the ability to do any type of searching that you wanted on your whole site.
I did, yes. I cannot recommend this tool since I've not used it before, but a few days ago through the meetup group, a current Y Combinator company called SwiftType emailed me. That's like the word Swift and type mashed together, but only one T. SwiftType. SwiftType? I don't know. I checked out their website, looked at their demos. It looks pretty good, and it's a free WordPress plugin. I think they have a paid side because I'm sure they have to make some money for Y Combinator. But I mean, at the fact that they've gotten into that coveted, tech startup thing gives me at least some hope that their tool's good. And it allows you to create searches and block them based on content types. The examples I thought were based on post types and taxonomies. So let's say you can type cats and see posts that have the word cat in it and videos that have the word cat in it, and have them blocked off separately or sort them. I would say it really depends on the type of searching that you want to do. So some of these tools, like the one I mentioned, SwiftType, would work much better with tagging because you're going to, say I want to see everything that's under the category of, category A as opposed to things that are in category B. It lets you get more granular. However, most of the search tools now are pretty good at parsing through the data, basically reading what you wrote and figuring things out. You can even use Google Custom Search for plugin and use all the power of the Google searches on your WordPress site. Yes, right. You can do that straight from Google's website, but there's also somebody who built a WordPress plugin that you don't have to bother doing that embed yourself if you so choose. I know I'm saying you use a plugin, but
No, actually, honestly, this is the kind of thing I'm usually kind of my personal recommendation is use as few plugins as you only use the ones you absolutely need to. In this case, this is not something that is built into WordPress, and to do basically to build a search engine that's custom would be so much time and work that it's just not worth it. Google obviously knows what they're doing when it comes to search. So, you either the and obviously there are other search plugins. Like there are really good ones, and for something like that, when it's that prevalent, if that many people are using it, it's usually pretty good. That's why we recommend things like Gravity Forms, because they're proven over time to be really high quality.
I have used relevancy before, or rather, I should clarify and say I have fixed sites that have used relevancy before. Um, if you have if you have a lot of information, if you have a large database, if you have something that requires really good search and just for whatever reason you choose not to go the Google route, relevancy could work for you. If it is a site that only needs a little bit more than the regular search, relevancy can wreak havoc on your database. I've had to fix sites that have used it before. It creates like 10 new tables in the database, and it takes a lot more time. It's not optimized. They may have done work on it over the years, but it degrades performance of or at the time that I had to use, I'm gonna have to step back and use my language. At the time that I've dealt with it, probably last about 6 months ago, it is a big optimization drain on the website. It makes the websites run slower when you're trying to use those searches. Maybe they fixed that by now. No, this all takes place in the one WordPress database you have. WordPress, the way it works for your content is it stores everything in a MySQL database. Basically, it's a place that stores all the content on your website. So that's why WordPress is built in PHP. When you're displaying like your home page on the website, the code on the page just says put a header up here and put all the header stuff in there. Put the body here and put all the body stuff in here. The little code that says put the body stuff in makes calls to the database to say, well, I need this title, I need this post, I need these images. It stores all that information. That means that you can change themes on WordPress and still have all of your same content exist, things like that. So no, it's all going to be in one database.
Our question is, what is the best way to translate blog content automatically, I guess, right?
Let's just say somebody lands on my blog from Argentina.
That is I personally I have because I'm not American, I'm a Dutch person, so I have my blog in English and in Dutch, but I translate everything manually because that is ultimately the best way.
I know it's
Uh,
the best way,
but
Like, first off, the one that I would recommend for the best translation, if you have the ability to translate, would be like WordPress Multilingual, which would give you actually four inputs for your copy is, and you're actually writing it four times. Um, I have installed Google Translate and limited those functions and put those in a widget and give the client the ability to switch that on the fly. That's a machine language and it's Google. It's like Babelfish. It's not very good. There is another one called Transposh we used, and that one's very nice, except it didn't quite work in BuddyPress. Uh, yeah, and that one didn't quite work the last time I used it in BuddyPress, so I don't know if it was the entire plugin or if it was just that time. I've used it in the past, it was good. That's a machine language, but it has the ability for people to submit edits. Like, this is wrong. You might want to change it, but it's a machine language starting. There's one other one, and I don't remember the name, I'm sorry, but it actually says, based on the copy you have, this would cost $5 to translate. This would cost $10 to translate, and that's in your admin, and you can just hit a button and it sends it to someone to translate it for you. I don't remember that plugin.
I don't know if you're actually referring to WPML there, but the very first plugin that you mentioned, WordPress Multilanguage, it's called WPML, is what you'll find it on the WordPress repo. It's a free plugin, and what WPML does is it can actually do multiple things. The first thing, as James said, is that let's say you choose 3 different languages, and it will have 3 areas for you to enter content when you're making that page. So you can enter the content in those 3 languages. Again, we're assuming here that somebody is going to make those changes manually because that'll be your best bet. The plugin also manages language switching, so it'll give you a widget or it can give you code if you want to put it somewhere on the site that you can put whatever kind of method you want to translate. Like let's say you want to put the little flags in the corner, and it'll know, well, every time that the Spanish, the Spain flag is clicked, will show all the Spanish versions of the content. Now, another nice thing that it does, but this is if this does cost money to do this, is I don't know if it did it I don't know if it did estimates there, but WPML actually does have a translating service that they do. I think they do it hourly, and you can type your content up, and while it's in the editor, you can actually just hit the button, and it will send your info to them. And if you have an account with them, they can send back the translations and put it right onto your site for you. Right. So if you're trying to do as cheap as possible, the machine translations would be best. Google ones.
Um, yeah. The product that was launched at Tampa, it's called Lingo Tech, Lingotek. I didn't get a chance to get a lot of information on them, but it is something that they were from the flyer that I did read. It sounded like basically it does do automatic translations or something like that for you. So it's definitely something to look into.
And just to repeat what Chris said, a lot of browsers can detect what language you're using on the computer, and it will automatically translate those pages for you.
One quick thing: when you switch to like Hebrew or something, it doesn't necessarily go left to right like you would right to left. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind. I mean, you can address that with CSS and some stuff, but by default they don't. Any new questions? Question is any survey or quiz plugins? The first one I would say is PollDaddy because Automatic owns PollDaddy. It's worth trying. And then Gravity Forms also has a poll feature that I would use, but it's not free. But I mean, it's worth the money.
PollDaddy starts free. It's by Automatic, the company that owns WordPress.com, and you can use your WordPress.com login to log into PollDaddy.
You could probably use Gravity Forms to pull together the questions, to pull the data, and then write. You have to do a little bit of PHP work, but basically then parse the data and then use that to figure out like your final result, and then just display that. But you can just using Gravity Forms, you could do that.
This wouldn't actually solve that issue, but another good kind of like poll thing is Google Doodle. We use that a lot in our. I work for charity organizations, and whenever we have like a service project that we need people to sign up for, or trying to figure out what best is meeting time to hold this executive meeting, we will put up all the dates that or time slots that we have to go through, and then each person signs in and they put their name or their moniker or whatever they want to go by, and then checks off whatever is relevant to them. And so that way, and you can make it public or private, so if you don't want people to know exactly when you're available, you can make it so people can't see anything except their answer. But it's a good way to be able to do polls within your organization to find out what's like the most appropriate time for everyone to get together. And that's Google Doodle.
Just to add on, with the Gravity Forms one, writing something with some custom code would absolutely make it a lot more efficient and a lot more powerful. But there's something built into Gravity Forms called conditional logic. If anyone is not familiar with programming terms at all, conditional logic is like if this, then that. If this thing happens, then do this other thing. So an example I use it on for a lot of client sites is a client site where they have the ability for people to pay by check or by credit card. If they select check, show these fields. If they select credit card, show these fields. You can do the same thing there. You just have to get a little bit more creative with how you do it. It's an interesting topic to try to solve with a pre-built plugin. Question was how to handle forum support, how to allow people to search, look for what they're looking for, and be able to make comments or ask questions based on that, similar to how threads work in Facebook.
I haven't used it personally, but I know it's it's either a plugin or it's a plugin, right? Is bbPress, which literally puts a forum on your WordPress site. BB, as in bulletin board. And it's basically it's forum software for WordPress. That's exactly what it does. Yeah, for developers. So.
bbPress and BuddyPress are both maintained by WordPress core developers. These are people who build WordPress, the software, meaning it's good. It's very good, and it's good, it's deep, and it is made to work with WordPress well because they build both.
Google Analytics. It's the gold standard because at the end of the day, Google dominates all of that stuff anyway. They've built the tools. You can get a little bit deeper if you also add their webmaster tools, but Google Analytics gives you so much information already And it's actually to the point now where you can actually see real time data. Because the one drawback Google Analytics has is it takes about 24 hours for all of your stuff to update. But what's weird is they have a real time tool, and then there's this big delay. I don't understand is why the real time can't feed into kind of constantly updated stuff. But yeah, I'm sure Google will figure out eventually.
And if you like spending money, which I mean sometimes it's good. Well, plus there's paid Google tools too, but Moz is also one that I've used heavily. It used to be called SEO Moz, but now it's just Moz, M-O-Z. Yeah.
I had something, but I lost it again.
Yeah.
I mean, the Google stuff is very good. Most people don't really mess with it, and they just sort of leave it by default. Just adding it's good, but to really go into detail and create funnels, you can track lots of things with that. Um, the all right. Well, then there's other stuff you could do with SEO that's important as well, but it just depends on what you're trying to accomplish with it. Like you can definitely start doing more like add tool rules and start getting more that way. And like we were saying with like Moz or Uptime Robot, but you could probably accomplish everything you want with Google by default and really start analyzing. What I was going to say, and I remembered, is we were just tracking. We were looking to do this whole dashboard analytics thing for clients, and we were talking about real time data, and real time data is good and it's nice to see it, but if you start reacting on real time data, you're no better than a day trader. So if you start dropping like $80,000, oh no, I got an outclick. I mean, that might not be the best thing. You need to be able to analyze your data. To see it now is great, but to analyze it, you don't want to make a business decision based off of a 24-hour span in time. Not that what you said is bad, but like we built months on this thing. We're like, wait, real time data doesn't really do us much benefit. I mean, it's cool, but it's dangerous to make business decisions based off short time periods.
Yeah, to jump on the real time data thing, the only time that I really see real time data being super useful is if you all of a sudden just see like a complete bottom out and you know something's wrong with your site. So you might want to check your errors. Generally, with our clients, we tell them 3 months is the cushion area. If you're making any kind of significant changes to your content strategy, or if you've just launched your website, do not expect overnight results.
It's a really good piece of information, but like what James is talking about is absolutely true. You don't want to make your decisions based on that, but where the real time data is really helpful is actually performance tracking.
And continue on with analytics, but not with real-time analytics. Has anyone ever gotten an email from like Amazon or some other website that's like, "Why didn't you buy this product that you were looking at? Come back and buy it." You guys have probably started getting those right now, right? So the way that they do that is something that you guys can do right now too. Those things can be done with what's called funnels and goals. Those things are things that you can do on Google's analytics. Basically, the idea when I would set funnels up for clients, my general thing is, they're on a page on my website or they're on the homepage or something. They click the buy button. They get to the shopping cart. These are all the things I'm listing out are different steps down this funnel. Basically, the way it's called the funnel is, you'll get 100 people who will look at the page, but even fewer of them click the button. Even fewer of them make it to the next page. Even fewer of them fill out their contact information, and then even fewer of them actually hit the buy button. So you have this funnel that you can see what people are doing at different points of your site. That can be really actionable information. I have 100 people looking at the sales page. 50 of them are clicking the buy button. One of them made it to checkout. Somewhere between that buy button and checkout, something's wrong. It's not easy to use. It's not intuitive. Something I have on the page is scaring them off. Whatever. That's where you can focus on what parts of my sales process I need to fix. If you happen to use any of the e-commerce platforms on WordPress, Exchange, Easy Digital Downloads, WooCommerce. I know those three have this. They're actually extensions you can buy that can handle that abandoned cart thing for you. And let's say you got to the checkout page, but you never actually hit buy. That means you already gave them your email address. So you can be that creepy guy who sends the email that's like, "Why don't you buy this product?" It doesn't have to necessarily be creepy. You might still want to get that sale from them. Hey, I noticed that you looked at this product, but you never actually bought it. Would this 10% off coupon entice you?
Another addition to that is you get with Google Analytics, you can assign values to your goals, and so it'll actually kind of track kind of your investment. And you can really gauge your ROI based off of that. Um, Another thing, kind of going off of what Dave is talking about, the idea of the abandoned cart, something that I know Best Buy is doing it because I've gotten 10 emails in the last week and a half. They do a thing where it's not just, hey, you bought, like, why didn't you buy this product? It's, hey, you bought this product. Tell us what you think about it, because that's really good, especially if you're it's your own products. That's the great feedback that you can get on how to improve your products, how to improve it, and that's this. Google can't give that to you because at the end of the day, they can't, if they don't post a review anywhere, Google can't find it. So it's finding, using that information, and like that's a reason to capture somebody's email. It's just, hey, I want to know what you thought of this. We'd really appreciate a review. It's something we do for every one of our sites now. As soon as we launch the site, we go, please, if you like it, if you like everything, go and review us on our Google Places page, or I think somebody even reviewed us on Yelp once. That was fun. And kind of another trick, just as if you're a developer, or if you're working for an agency, you don't have to wait until the end of the project to ask for a review. So if, let's say, you do the homepage and you send it out to the client, and the client's, I love this. This is amazing. Send them that review now because they're really happy. Because if something goes wrong later, you still got that good review. So
I want to get to Greg's question, but really quick, I wanna put a slight warning because I thought this was a funny story. If you're going to do any sort of these things, if it seems like it might at all be invasive or intrusive, have some sort of terms of service on your website. Even just having it there and say, well, you visit my site, you agreed to do this. So there's this little retail store you might know called Target that sends coupons to people in the mail, and you probably know the exact story I'm about to tell. Target does a lot of analytics on their customers based on the types of things that they purchase, and Target has found that it can mine this data very well. You purchased items A, B, and C. I can tell a lot about you that other people might not know. So Target got into legal trouble about 2 years ago from a father who sued them because he wasn't aware that his daughter was pregnant, but Target was. Target didn't know she was pregnant. Target knew she bought items that indicated that she was becoming pregnant, and they sent her coupons in the mail for diapers, formula, things like that. Both he and the daughter were very upset. So keep that in mind for different reasons. Yes, keep that in mind. I'm sorry. And the tool is clicky.com, clicky.com. So that's a tool that can do heat maps, click tracking, video tracking, and I'm not going to repeat it all for.
So he was asking about site optimization and getting people to actually come to your website. Is that right, or was it more about speed and like server performance? Then I'm going to have to pass this off.
Jeff is our performance guy, but
One of the first things that I can tell you is you have exactly 1 second to sell your website to someone. If they don't see any kind of value, if they see something that annoys them, if they're scared off for any reason, they will leave your site and your bounce rate will go up. That being said, autoplay videos are absolutely horrible. Do not do that. That is like the worst thing ever. I work for attorneys for the most part, and all of them have to have themselves on a blank background talking about, if you've been in a car accident, call me now. Worst thing ever. Don't do that, please. That being said, a clean website that loads fast, so that goes into your speed optimization. And if you really need to know about that in depth, he can tell you about that. But uh, have something attractive on the front page that makes them want to learn more. That's where creative content comes into play. You want to use catchy words in your first couple of paragraphs, a good header that explains, what your site is, or something to entice them that they want to stay on that page and explore more. Make sure you have clean navigation. If you make it too hard to find your core content, then people are not going to want to be digging around your site trying to figure out, what do I click to get to your blog? You should, if you are, if your site is relatively about whatever you blog about, then you want to make sure your blog is front and center, if not on the front page. one of the things that we just learned about Google, there was a document that was leaked a couple of weeks ago now called the Google Quality Rating Guidelines. Google has a team of human beings that sit and actually rate the quality of websites using a 160-page manual. And it's quite interesting to see the insight of how Google looks at stuff. One of the things that I was actually telling someone today was Google hates inline advertising. If you stick a banner ad of some sort or any kind of advertising in the middle of your content, Google will tell you that that's bad quality because it's you might think that, oh, I'm breaking up the content so people can like take a little break. No, you're losing them. If they see that banner ad, they're going to do one of two things. They're going to click on it or they're going to lose focus. So either way, you're losing that client right there. One of the other things on the quality guidelines, where was I going with that? No.
I've got something to add.
Jingle keys is getting at me now.
Basic, just to kind of piggyback off of what she's talking about. If you have a slider on your website, get rid of it. It is killing your conversions. Sliders were really cool 3 years ago because they were new. Now, the research has shown that sliders, just like the ads, they actually confuse people because they don't know what they're supposed to do with them. Because unless the slider is specifically like to show photos and it's not like a sales thing, but if you, let's say you guys have all seen them, I'm sure. You go to a website. There's a slide, and it's got a picture and a little bit of text and a button, and then a few seconds later, another one shows up, and then another one shows up. Which one are you supposed to click on? And if you're going to a site and you're looking for a very specific thing, and you load up the site, that slider pops up, and the first slide is not what you're looking for. What's your first reaction? Are you going to go and click on the next slide, or are you going to scroll down? You're going to scroll down. That's why the new trend is the whole one-page website thing, because we've finally realized, hey, just let people scroll because that's what they're going to do anyway. Stop using sliders because it actually hurts you. It hurts your conversions. Slider is literally like when you load up a site. Actually, most sports websites or news websites are the perfect example. It's literally like it looks like a slideshow. So you load up the site and you'll see like a big picture and a little bit of text, and then after a couple seconds, it'll automatically replace it with something else. Yeah. There's usually like a little. Some sites are actually even going away from that, and they're just like, "Here's the slides, deal with it." And those are actually worse. So that's why the new movement is because they're actually really bad because they're also bad for accessibility. Because and Jeff can actually speak to this a little bit more. He's an accessibility guru. Uh, Accessibility. If somebody literally can't see your site, having to go through all that content is that much harder because they're using a screen reader and it's that much more confusing. Jeff, I'll let you get on that.
It'll start reading out all those slides without actual context. So it'll be very confusing, most of all, and it's just not gonna lead anywhere because they're just gonna get annoyed. They're not gonna get to the actual content of the page. But also, if it's too fast, someone that doesn't, isn't able to operate the mouse as quickly as a regular person would be able to, they're not going to be able to click that button. They're going to have to wait until it comes around again before they can click that button, or at least attempt it. So you're going to lose all those people because they just get annoyed and they're just going to look somewhere else for whatever you were selling, or whatever they were looking for anyway.
Okay, a couple of things, and I agree with everything everyone said. Just from a standards point of code and optimization, I know you were asking more about traffic and how to get more traffic. I will say just writing clean code will do a tremendous amount. If you go back, like we took a site, the client was paying $10,000 a month in AdSense. And we took their exact same site. It's their site they've had for 5 years. They've been built on top of it. It was before custom post types, so they had 800 blog posts that were all different types of things. The site looks 100% the same. I did not change the aesthetics, but I did rewrite the theme. I restructured the code. I sorted out the blog posts and made custom post types. They're saving all their AdSense now. They're not spending any of that money they were spending $10,000 before, and they have all the same traffic. They have not changed their copy, and the site looks aesthetically the same. That's just writing clean code. Now, I agree with you guys and everybody about the ads being in play and how distracting that stuff is. But let's not talk good morals for a moment. Let's talk making money on the internet. I have some friends who do affiliate links. I have some friends who make alien conspiracy sites. And they just have these sites and they put ads in the copy. As much as that's horrible for Google, those ads get about $3 a click. So if you have a site that's just perfectly, meant to drive traffic to make money, then it might be, you might want to outweigh that a little bit if you have the traffic and the site is purely there to make money for you and it's not something you're running a real business. It's an ad click mule, if you will. So I don't recommend those things, but I mean, if you have that type of site, you could make some decent money off those inline or the whole take over your background. Let me put a whole ad back there.
You make a good point. There's a difference between an inline ad, like Lisa's talking about, and a CTA. The CTA is a call to action. So you may have a block of content, and like let's say you've got a picture, and you've got like 3 paragraphs that are related to that picture, and then a little button that says like schedule it. The perfect example, we're working on a chiropractor's website right now. It's here's a whole bunch of stuff about this one service. Schedule your appointment. But then there's if you're not looking for that, you're not going to click that. So you're going to keep going. Oh, here's the next service. Here's a whole bunch of stuff. Schedule appointment. You're driving that home, but you're not separating them from the content because it's still related to the content. That when it's flowing through, those convert a lot better than those ads because those ads just are a distraction, whereas CTAs are something completely different.
We're running short on time, so if you would all humor me, I want to do a really quick soapbox talk here. I also want to give you guys some more resources, and I have a question for all of you. So my really quick soapbox, not rant, but I'm sure hopefully these guys will appreciate it. If I were to break my leg and I need to go to the hospital and I had a doctor setting my leg, that person spent a lot of time learning what they do. I'm paying them a lot of money. I'm not going to direct them on how to fix my leg. If I'm hiring somebody to build a deck for my yard, this is somebody who has a lot of training doing that. I'm paying them a lot of money. I'm not going to be like, oh no, you're going to build it like this, and then I go step on it the first time and it collapses out from under me. So my soapbox thing is that I found that a lot of people may not value the skills of people who work with intangibles, with websites, with marketing, with things like that. That's your decision to make, and I know all of you guys clearly wouldn't make that decision because you're here on a Saturday morning asking us questions. If you're hiring someone to do these things for you, my thing is like a 3-strike rule. Someone says, I need an autoplay video on my website, and I go, well, that's not really the best thing to do. Here's the reasons why. Well, no, I really kind of want it. Well, I mean, I would seriously go against it. No, I really want it. By that time, I go, okay, well, if you're paying me the money, I want to get paid. But I've made sure I've given them my due diligence and saying, I'm the person who spent all this time researching, learning these things. If I have something to back it up and say, this is why these things don't convert well, maybe take their advice on it. It might be worth doing. That's my tiny soapbox rant. If you're not paying me to build your website, you're paying me to find a solution for you. And for my experience and expertise. My next thing, resources. Again, these videos that we do at the meetup, go to youtube.com/WordPressOrlando. There's a website called WordPress.tv, where not only will you find our videos, you'll find videos from all over the world, from WordCamps, from meetups, from anything about WordPress, WordPress.tv. If you have questions when you're not at the meetup group, Facebook.com/WordPressOrlando. You can get to us at any time there. Like I said, all of the users there have different experiences that they can share. Even if it's just like, has anyone used this tool before? And I might not have, none of us may have, but some of you may have. If you're not on Facebook, the meetup group. I'm going to hope all of you know where to find the meetup group since you're here.
There's a meetup group?
Yes, there is a meetup group. We'll be sending an email out for WordCamp, and I think that's it for resources besides all the standard things.
I mean, mean, it's not specific, but
WordPress people love Twitter. Post your question to Twitter if you're on that one. I bug people all the time on Twitter for help, and it works for me.
although I can say the hashtag WordPress, while it is good and you should use it, don't expect to get a response real quick if that's the only hashtag you use, because it's flooded with spam. But it's still a good hashtag. It's just there's a lot of people that bots that they literally all they do is they look for people that use the WordPress hashtag and then they retweet everything, and it's annoying.
I also remembered something else. If you want any of these URLs written down or info on things to become a WordPress developer or get involved, I actually have some flyers left.
And then two more tangible sites if you want to actually have structured learning. There's, if you're an Orange County resident, you can go to, and David can rattle off the URL because he does it all the time. But they have, well, here, I'll let you mention that.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I see that you have a question. What were you going to say?
The question was just, is y'all's contact information posted somewhere on one of these websites?
Yeah, so you'll see, on the meetup, on Facebook, you'll find us there, but if you're on Meetup, you'll see our info too. The websites, at least, I was suggesting, one is wpbeginner.com. The guy who runs that's going to be at our WordCamp this year. He's really, really smart, and that's a very high-trafficked WordPress website. You've probably even been on it before. If you're here, you've probably been here.
Structured tutorials, how to install a plugin, things like that.
I still use it all the time.
Yeah, if you want to learn development, design, business, anything like that, the Orange County Library gives you free access to both lynda.com and teamtreehouse.com. Treehouse is another local company. The URL for that is, I'll rattle off the whole thing, but you don't need to worry about writing it down. It's ocls.info, Orange County Library System. And then you can go there and either type in Treehouse or Lynda or Learning, and it'll pull up the page. The page URL is actually ocls.info/programs/DIY learning.